Am I the a-hole for not wanting to adopt my boyfriend's sister's baby? This is probably the most emotionally draining situation I've ever been in, and I feel like I'm losing my mind a little. I'm 22F in university, juggling two jobs and trying to stay focused on my future. My boyfriend, Theo, 22M, and I have been together for 2 years now. We live together in a tiny apartment near our campus. We split rent, cook ramen for dinner half the week, and try to squeeze joy into the spaces between classes, exams, and paychecks. It's a struggle, but we're doing it together, and we have big dreams. But those dreams are currently being overshadowed by a storm we didn't see coming, one we didn't cause but are being guilted into cleaning up. Theo's family situation has always been complicated. He and his siblings were raised by their grandparents because their actual parents were never really in the picture. There's a lot of trauma, dysfunction, and heartbreak wrapped up in that household. It's not just about poverty or bad luck. There's a pattern of generational neglect and impulsiveness, and now it's repeating itself again in the form of Theo's younger sister, Eve, 18F. Eve has always been difficult to be around, and I say that with as much empathy as I can muster. She's been through a lot, I know that. But she's also someone who lashes out, manipulates, demands, and refuses to take accountability for anything. She dropped out of community college after barely scraping through high school, has never had a job, and spends her days locked in her room smoking weed. She yells at her grandparents, blames everyone else for her problems, and leans on Theo constantly for money, to fund her vices, not her survival. I've kept my distance for the most part. I've always had this sinking feeling that something chaotic would eventually erupt from her world into ours. And, well, here it is. A few weeks ago, Eve called us out of the blue. She was laughing. Actually laughing. She said, "So? I'm like pregnant." And no, I'm not joking. My stomach immediately dropped. I thought it was a prank at first. Theo's face went ghost white. I could tell he wanted to scream before she even finished the sentence. And then he did. He exploded. "How could you be so stupid?" he shouted. "There's birth control at literally every chemist. You couldn't even use a rubber? Who's the dad? You think grandma and grandpa can raise another baby? They couldn't even take care of us." He was pacing the room, red in the face, pulling at his hair. I'd never seen him like that before. Eve just laughed again. And then she said it. She said, "I was hoping you two could take the baby. You know, keep it in the family." I froze. I turned to Theo. His eyes locked with mine, wide with disbelief. Was this really happening? We both stammered. "No. Absolutely not. No way." She kept pushing. "You're almost done with uni anyway. You have a dog. What's a baby compared to that? You actually have money. We do not have money. We barely have time to sleep, let alone raise a child." Then she turned defensive, angry, hysterical. "You're asking me to abort my baby. How dare you? You don't even like me. You probably hate this baby already. You don't love your own niece or nephew." I lost it. I said, "This is not a small favor, Eve. This is a lifetime. You want us to just drop everything, to raise a child we didn't plan for, can't afford, and weren't even consulted about? Are you kidding me?" She screamed louder. "You're trying to make me kill my baby. I'm telling Grandma." Next thing we know, her grandmother is on the phone. "Theo, my name, you know our beliefs. We can't ask her to do that. But the Lord knows Eve can't take care of a baby, and we're too old. Which leaves, well, you." Leaves us? We were stunned. It was like everyone had just decided this was our responsibility now. That we were the default solution to someone else's reckless choices. Theo finally spoke. "Granny, I love you, but this is Eve's mess to clean up. OP and I have goals. We can't afford a baby. We didn't choose this." Eve grabbed the phone again and let loose on both of us. "You disgusting twats. You're calling my baby a mistake. You're vile." I said, "You know what's vile, Eve? That you expect us to raise your child while you do nothing. You party, you smoke, you sleep around, and when the consequences hit, you dump them on us like trash." Then she snapped. "Easy for you to say. You have parents." I felt my blood boil. Exactly. And they would never let me raise someone else's child at my age. We made good choices. We took precautions. This is your responsibility, not ours. Theo slammed the phone down and broke into tears. "I'm so sorry, babe. I can't believe they're doing this." "I can," I said quietly. "Since that call, things have gotten worse. His grandparents call every few days, begging us to reconsider. Saying they raised him. Now it's his turn to raise someone." Eve posts passive-aggressive messages on social media. She's telling everyone we're trying to kill her baby. And now, both Theo and I are broken with guilt. Not for saying no, but for how much pressure and chaos is swirling around us for a decision that was never ours to begin with. There are moments where I imagine life if we said yes. I picture sleepless nights, dropped classes, daycare bills we can't afford. I picture Theo resenting his family more, and maybe me too. I picture a child growing up with two exhausted, reluctant parents who didn't choose them. And that breaks me. Because I don't hate this baby. I hate what's happening around it. Now, Theo is talking about cutting his grandparents off entirely. He's done. He cries at night sometimes and says, I wish I had a normal family. And I just hold him, because I don't know what else to do. We're still saying no. We're still holding that line. But the guilt creeps in every day. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to adopt this baby? Or am I just one more person breaking the cycle?